Hey, good evening. Tonight we are going to talk about truck stops, what we look for, what we like, what we dislike, and all that fun stuff.
The good,
The bad,
and the
nasty.
ugly.
Yeah, I like my choice better. Coming up right after this.
Hi, everybody. I'm Judy.
And I'm Jim, and welcome to It's a Highway Vlog, where you get to travel the country with us, and you don't even have to leave that great spot you got at the truck stop.
So, while you're sitting there just admiring that perfect spot,
Don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and
ring the notification bell.
so you don't miss a thing.
Ever.
Hey, good evening. We are somewhere on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Actually, I know exactly where we're at. We're in the truck.
Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, did you see that? Anyway, not what we expected. We had loads. In fact, we had 2 loads. And then our truck decided not to do something. Like the top lights on our truck aren't working.
Well, now you just need to rephrase that a little bit.
Well, we had a light that was suspect. It was sort of, when
Dim.
looked at the truck this morning and decided, hey, let's just take it over to the shop and have it fixed. Mistake. Took it to the shop. And something has happened. We have no lights on the top of the sides of our boxes. We have tail lights. Everything else works except for the top of the box. And so
Which wasn't like that before.
was not like that before. It worked. So we, instead of taking our loads, we pulled off those loads. I know some people would say, why did you do that for? Well, it's because, we're not supposed to not have lights up there. And so we're heading over to Columbus. And tomorrow we're going to go over and see the folks that put this box on our truck, and hopefully they can fix our lights. So not how we expected the wonderful weekend, well, the last 4 days that we've had setting to end.
Well, and the other thing is we got our loads this morning. I mean, we actually weren't sure if we were going to have a load today.
Yes.
Because we didn't have a load for today, and then we got one.
And then we got another.
Yep. And it was kind of cool because we got one before the other, and the other one kind of was a squeeze-in load for today. So that was cool because we had one for tomorrow, and then we squeezed one in for today. But
out the window.
Easy come, easy go.
Again. Didn't we do a video
I
on
think
that?
we just did a video on that.
I'll put a link right up here.
Actually, Thursday, I think that was.
Yes, we did. So anyway, more easy come, easy go. So at night, we sat in the truck stop today. We were having a little bit of a discussion, and because what I think makes a good truck stop is not necessarily what Judy thinks makes a good truck stop, and we're talking for weekend.
Yeah, and if you all recall, we said last week, Jim said, where are we going to head? And I said, I know. He said, we could head here or we could head there. And I said, y'all know what he's going to pick. Everybody knows which truck stop you're going to pick.
Yes.
And so and that, I don't know if I've made clear, is not one of my favorite truck stops, but I mean, it's okay.
But we got to talking about that because, yes, that is probably my favorite place to go on. I need to stop making that noise. On the East Coast. And my reasoning is, well, we'll just talk about our reasoning of what makes a good truck stop. I'll go first.
Be my guest. Go right ahead.
It has to be in an area where I feel safe.
I thought you were going to say it has to be a truck stop.
Well, it doesn't have to be a truck stop, but it has to be in an area I feel safe. I'm not going to go somewhere where I feel unsafe, especially with this one out walking around at times.
I do agree with that. I kind of like being safe too. It's
so
a good thing.
That's number one. Number 2 is it has to have good parking. And what I mean by that
I was going to say, define good parking.
I will. And I mean, a place to park, obviously, and a place to park.
Have lines?
Yes, a place to park, and, where I feel safe that I don't think the truck is going to get hit. And that's one of the reasons, that we had a truck hit in a truck stop once. And even though we thought it was in a good spot.
It was in the best spot in the whole lot.
But someone came and found it and hit it. Long story.
Actually, that was when we first got the truck.
Yeah.
It was like months after we got the truck.
Yeah. And so parking. And then from there, I like a nice shower, a nice warm high pressure shower where I can get clean and is clean. And I guess part of that also is cleanliness of the truck stop itself. Some truck stops take very good care of keeping the outside clean, and there's no trash, and you don't have to worry too much about where you're walking. And some trucks fail miserably on that point. I mean, there's just trash everywhere. They never clean up the trash containers. You walk inside and you're like suspect of everything. You know, there's this like grime and grease and junk everywhere. And so we don't go to those places.
Well, a lot of times we
once.
go. Yeah, I was going to say, we'll go the first time, but then after that it's like, ugh.
And then, down the list for me would be, what's in the area, a lot of the time we spend, I would be fine staying in the truck.
He does.
I do stay in the truck a lot because I have stuff to do. I have YouTube videos to edit.
Yeah, that takes you all day long.
Second job
all
in
day
life.
Long.
Yes. But I guess that would be my top 5 areas. We do not eat out of the truck very, very much at all. So, restaurants and what's nearby, to me, yeah, I know. These are my criteria.
Are you going to leave me any?
You have plenty. You've got your own set. And so that's what I think about it. So those are my top 5. So okay, Judith, let's go. Let's hear yours.
Now you stole all mine. Now what am I going to say?
I have my criteria. You have yours.
Yes, I do. Parking is, and it definitely has to have lines. That's a big plus on my part. The other part about parking, and we both agree on this, is if the truck stop is so crowded and everybody is right on top of each other,
right.
And I'm not going to say corporate places, but there are a few corporate stores out there and all of the big truck stops that are just tiny, itty bitty, and I mean it's the place where everybody stops and everybody gets fuel, and the fuel could be 3 or 4 deep, and I'd rather not go to those places. If driving or just being out going back and forth across the parking lot just to get into the truck stop.
Yes, when you take your life into your own hands, just getting out of your truck and making it inside sometimes.
So can I open the door? Nope.
Yes.
Close it, get back. So that's the other thing. And space in between the parking lot spots too. I like, if they're trying to smush too many spots in, and forget that.
Right.
And as a driver and as a passenger. So I agree with him on the parking spots, and I try real hard when he's back here sleeping to think like Jim thinks. All right, where am I going to park? Which way should I go? Which one should I do? We like our curb spots, and there are some truck stops out there that don't have any curb spots. So then you have to find your next best option, and we don't want to give it all away, because then all the drivers over here will park where we park. So we don't want to give away all the insight about parking. My thing is I not so much during the winter, but I like to walk, and I would prefer if there were places that I could walk to and or from, and if it's around the truck stop, I prefer the truck stop not be busy, so I can, not that it's not busy, but just places I could walk.
She wants it all to herself.
I'm the only one in the whole truck stop. But I like to walk, and in like Jim said, we don't eat out a lot, but it's nice to have options, and that's what we want to give to you. If we find a truck stop that has lots of things to do around, then that's cool. Grocery stores are a big plus. We like the one up in Connecticut that has the Stop and Shop that's right next door. The truck stop itself is very tiny.
Literally across the street.
Yeah.
It's actually funny because the back of our truck is closer to the grocery store than it is to the truck stop building. So
yep, and they have lots of cool options over there too.
Really
that grocery store is really neat.
Criteria.
Well, my biggest shower pet peeve is warm water, which for some reason this past week we haven't had. It hasn't been cold, but it's been like not hot. Yeah. And then water pressure, and I'm not sure what's happening. It just seems like
the last 3 places.
We brag about the truck stops, their water pressure, and this past week we haven't had any.
Yeah, even this morning we took a shower, and it was, the water pressure for her was bad. For me it was okay, but I couldn't stand it because it was hotter than my tea. When I make tea, the water was so hot it hurt. So I sort of took a shower. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, water pressure. Next, come
he
on.
can't stand the hot water. I love the hot water. The other thing is the people who work there. I'm a people person, and if the staff is friendly and everybody is really bending over to help other people, I can overlook some of the other stuff. But that is one of the things that I like to be able to talk to anybody. Obviously, I'm talking to all of you, and I can't see you, but I enjoy the whole people aspect of it.
Yes. Anything else?
I don't know.
Is that it?
Other than what you said?
Yeah.
If they have a movie theater next door, that's even better. But the truck stops that have that might not be the best truck stops, but at least there's a movie theater next door. The other thing is along with the exercise thing, I do like the truck stops that have actual workout rooms too.
Right.
So when Jim says, let's go down to Elkton, which is fine, they have no exercise, and I'm able to walk around there, except for the dog issue the last time we were there. And that has nothing to do with anybody against pets, but this guy was his dogs were not nice dogs, so he wanted to warn me a little harshly that I shouldn't get near his dogs. Anyhow, I would prefer Bordentown, and it has a lot to do with they have an exercise room there. The parking lot's huge if you want to walk around it, and they have the other thing is truck washes too. Is always a nice plus at a truck stop too. Yeah. So they have a truck wash there, and place to eat. They've got a couple places now.
And truthfully, we, probably our two favorite truck stops. Mine is on the East Coast. Mine is the TA in Elkton, and Judy's is probably the Petro in Bordentown. And mine used to be the Petro in Bordentown, but they charge you to park in the back. And when we first started expediting, there was a parking lot up front that's where all of the expediters parked at. And they've remodeled, and they've gotten rid of that. So now we have to pay the park in the back, which is no big deal. I mean, the one thing I liked about us being able to be up front, it was basically all expediters. Mm-hmm. So you would go there, and there would be 10 or 12 trucks on a weekend that were all FedEx. Usually there would be a few other carriers, but usually mostly FedEx trucks.
Yeah, that's the other part about the truck stops that I like is that if there are truck stops around the country where we can meet other drivers,
right,
and have more drivers. And Bordentown usually has quite a few, even though we can't park up front anymore. The
folks that we have gotten to be really good friends with over the years, that's probably
where we met them.
Half of them we met right there. And so we sort of missed that, and that's one of the reasons I don't have anything against the Bordentown truck stop, other than we have to pay, which usually means that we have to get fuel, is good for one day, and then we eat inside because you're going to spend the money, so why not get some food? And not that they have a bad restaurant, I think they have a pretty decent restaurant there, but I don't eat out much.
Again, we can't, because he's tried it a couple times and it's not working well for him. So
it's not. Every time I eat out, I end up getting sick because of my gluten issues, because you just can't avoid it. If there's gluten around, it seems like it finds its way onto my plate for some reason or another. But anyway, and then there's other truck stops, and it's really weird. We get into having our favorite truck stops. There are all kinds of truck stops on the East Coast. We go to about 2 or 3 of them, no matter where we're at over here. We either go to Bordentown or go to Elkton, Maryland. Sometimes we'll go to Paulsboro, New Jersey. If we're up a little bit further north, we'll go to Columbia, the TA that's up there. Most of them, our TAs are Petros. That's where we have our shower points
That's where we fuel at mostly.
And so that's where we go. They tend to be bigger truck stops, and they usually have laundry facilities.
Mm-hmm. Which is another big plus,
yes.
too. Laundry. There are some truck stops out here who do not have laundry facilities, and when we're out on the weekends, that's one of the things we do on the weekends is laundry. So that's a big plus.
So it's we sort of, I am you just have to go and visit the truck stop in Elkton. The spaces are literally, you could fit 3 trucks in 2 spots. They're huge, and it's just, I feel safe there. Which, I get a decent weekend's rest if I'm sitting in a truck stop somewhere where I'm literally afraid every time I hear a truck that he's going to back into us because the spots are so tight, and I literally will hit his mirrors with my door when I open my door. I don't get a good weekend's rest.
Yeah,
I mean, it is important.
I don't. Once I'm in the truck and we've got all the windows shut, I just go to sleep.
Yeah, well, I worry about stuff. So anyway, but that's one thing for me. It's important to be that I feel safe, and I feel that I'm not going to get. And still, sometimes you just never know. Like the time we were in a parking spot and felt completely safe. We weren't even in the truck, and
we were next to a container that was on the ground and not in a truck, backed all the way to the back of the spot. And on the very end, I mean, there was straight parking. The tractor and trailers didn't have too much hard time. And there were empty spots beside us, just decided to swing around and caught our edge.
Hit the trailer, the ICC bar on the back of his trailer, hit our grill in our truck. If he'd have been 5 inches one way, it'd have been fine. But, we were off work for 3 weeks.
Luckily, it was just
paid for with insurance, but we were out of work. That's a lot of money when you're off work and you're not wanting to be. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we look for in truck stops. And tonight we are in a service plaza on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. There's towards the western part of the Turnpike. There's a couple of the service plazas that have like an additional lot that holds like 100 trucks.
And if you still have to get here.
Yes,
pretty decent.
it'll
but this
fill
is
up.
Usually where I can take my half-hour break if we're on the turnpike.
But all the spots are pull-through spots, so no one's usually backing in here. They're pulling through, which alleviates about half the potential
Except for the guy
being hit.
Next to us, I wasn't sure what he was doing.
Yeah, we pulled in here earlier, and we were starting to wonder and question.
I thought
our
he was
sanity.
backing in over on the other side, and he wound up pulling out and pulling beside a couple spots over.
See all kinds of strange stuff. So anyway, but that's sort of our thoughts on truck stops. And a lot of times during the week we're not in a truck stop. We're actually running. In an ideal situation throughout the week, we are running overnight, and so we don't worry so much about them.
And there are some places that we look at differently at truck stops. Is like my half-hour break time is sometimes it becomes difficult in gyms too to find a space to park for just a half hour.
Right.
And it's almost like you don't really want to take up an entire truck spot.
No.
We're a small truck, and it's just like the tractor and trailer solo people, have to take their 10-hour break, whereas as a team we can keep rolling. So we don't want to take up all those spots in the back. And so sometimes the Flying J's, a lot of them have RV parking up front, and we don't usually do that too much, but like during our half-hour breaks, just because if you go during the day, the RVs, if it's vacation time, or if you're out west where everybody vacations, you don't want to take up those spots because those are meant for the RVs.
Right.
And you don't want the RVs parking out back.
Yeah, and so since we are a smaller truck, a lot of times we can pull up front at a Love's even. There's usually a spot for a half hour. We try to stay out of the back as much as we can because we can fit up front where we won't take up a spot from a big truck. And or even in rest areas, or even pulling through a Walmart sometimes to take a half-hour break.
Yeah, and most of the truck stops are okay. If you, some of them might say something to you, and it,
right.
We try to double check with the management, but usually if you're just going in and you're there for a half hour, management doesn't even know you're there.
Yeah, they're oblivious. So anyway, that's our thoughts on truck stops and what we like and what we don't like. Oh, well, I guess we ought to talk a little bit about what we don't like. Trash. I just hate to have trash in a parking lot, and people who don't clean up after their dogs. Enough said. So anyway, anything else?
That's me too. I like the outside to be clean. The outside of the truck stop is a good indication of what the inside is going to look like too. So, just in our experiences, but. Other than that, I don't think so. I think, and every truck stop and every person's different as to what you think's important. I think most truck drivers probably think the same as we do along those lines.
Or they should.
The ones who care.
Yes. So anyway, I guess that's all for us. Please subscribe to our channel, comment, give us some feedback, get in touch with us.
And share some of your thoughts about what you think some truck stops. And if you're not a driver yet, or haven't driven, or are not a driver, just leave some comments, and maybe we can answer some questions.
Right. So we will see you all in the next video.
So long, everybody.
Good night.